All right, welcome to Coast Wrestling Podcast. This is Will.
Last one of the year.
This last one of the year, and I meant to ask before we started, but I'll ask now. Is this our anniversary?
Our anniversary?
Yeah, it's like right here, right? It's very close to here. I don't know when our first official one was.
I was going to say that the first one that we put on the iTunes was in April.
Really? Was that late? I could have sworn. Well, maybe on iTunes, but we had it on Spreaker, right? Or Soundwave.
Yeah, one of these days I have to go back and count them, so we can start numbering.
Well, this is when we connected, I think, around now.
The first one that we have on iTunes is from April 14th.
Okay, so that's the first one that went to iTunes. I think that was the first time we connected with Dan.
If you really want to look, you want to go on to Refugees and look for the thread where I was looking for somebody.
Yeah, that might be the best way. But I think it was right around now that we started having the conversation about doing this.
Yeah.
So happy anniversary.
You too. It's ironic.
I'll send you flowers.
My wedding anniversary, or marriage anniversary, or you want to call it, is December 25th.
Oh, wow. How did you get people to come to your wedding?
Oh, well, that's why I said marriage anniversary, because when I went to Japan and got the paperwork going in 2008, we just got married at City Hall, and it happened to be Christmas in Japan.
Gotcha.
But we had a wedding on July 10th in Japan in 2010 when she came back here, so that's kind of a different thing.
I was like, that's a rough day to get people to come to your wedding.
But either way, I talked about right before we went here, my hair is growing out a little bit, and I have, I'm clearly balding. And my wife was, she doesn't care if I have my hair short or long. She doesn't care about anniversaries. Birthdays aren't a big deal. So I guess I got pretty lucky with that. So yeah, we're pretty much, just to let you know, I have just in the background, no volume, just to kind of go with the theme. I got Survivor Series 2003. I just threw on randomly in the background.
Really?
For that. Mm-hmm.
2003, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of threw something.
I was gonna say you really threw a random Survivor Series on there during the down period. It was the beginning of the end. All right, so we had Raw and SmackDown this week. We're gonna get into our awards, our Coasties. Is that what we're calling them, the Coasties?
Yeah, I as a journalism writer, I always hated this because you can never have a first annual, but I am gonna call it the first annual Coasties.
Yes. Because we will have a second annual next year.
Yes, we will.
We've kept up with it for a full year. I think we'll handle another year of this.
Yeah.
So we had Raw and SmackDown. Raw was I thought pretty decent for a Christmas show. We had tag title change, Jason Jordan
we did.
And Seth Rollins. I thought that whole match was very good. I think it hides Jason Jordan's flaws when he's in a tag team, obviously, and it adds a little. Without Dean, it adds a little flavor to this, and Sheamus obviously is nearing the end of his career, so he can't be going in and out, day in and day out all the time. He's got apparently spinal stenosis, and me and you were quite familiar with that.
Being Mets fans, yeah, and you know what? I was a little disappointed to see the Bar lose the tag titles. I just as a tag team, they've got to be one of the better tag teams I've seen since my return to the genre. In the last few years, I've really enjoyed them as a team. They've been great.
I agree.
But, and you know what? Honestly, the problem with Jason Jordan is not in the ring.
No. Although I will say some of his mannerisms bother me a little bit. But now that he's kind of a heel about it, I enjoy the mannerisms because they're corny and shitty.
Mm-hmm. But, if we're talking about kayfabe, he pretty much did all the work in that match. Seth was getting the shit kicked out of him the whole time, right?
Yeah, he put in most of the offense, and I like that finisher that he did. If that's his finisher now, that kind of suplex neck breaker thing he did at the end, I thought that was solid. It's a solid, quick finisher. I thought at first it was the angle slam, but it wasn't. It was kind of he just lifted him up and then hit him with a neck breaker, and I think that works. It's another layer to this story, and I don't know if you saw they've scheduled a Samoa Joe versus Roman for the IC title, and if Roman gets disqualified, the title changes hands, which of course means that's what's going to happen That's how that usually works. When they put a stipulation like that in, that means something quirky is going to happen, and I bet Jason Jordan is going to be involved in that personally.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of start that rift between the remaining Shield members as well.
Right, maybe Seth takes his side. Who the hell knows? Maybe they did Audible. I don't know.
We haven't had it for a while where you have, two guys that aren't exactly friends being tag champs. That's been a while.
What? That was the start of Sheamus and Cesaro. Was that?
Well, yeah, but did they win the tag champ? Accidentally win it?
Accidentally, no. No, they were already established tag team by that point.
Yeah, they were already established by that time. They got together like that.
Right.
Or you have, and they weren't exactly too highly, guys that were, well, I guess they were somewhat established as singles guys. But, two top level, I guess that would be the closest thing we've had since then. But I'm talking like The Rock and Mankind, being tag champs, where they're clearly not a tag team, but they're somehow united by the tag titles.
Right. Yeah, and the Raw tag scene's kind of crappy. The Revival's just getting back, and I don't consider them. They don't seem to be in ring shape at the moment.
Right. Or they just haven't found the storyline for them yet.
Yeah, I think it's probably both. I mean, neither of them have been in the ring consistently since you got injured. So,
I mean, honestly, it's probably maybe they do have something for him, but it's a matter of, well, let's see if you guys can actually not get hurt for a few months, and then we'll throw something.
But then we had what the hell? That was the main event. There was other stuff that happened. Alexa got kicked in the head by Asuka.
Right.
I thought that was a really good segment. I thought Asuka seemed intimidating enough. Other than that, I mean, it was just a good flowing show, at least from the last hour, which is really what I focused on because I had my father-in-law in town and he watched it with me for an hour and told me how stupid it was. Of course, as most non-wrestling fans will do, they will point out the stupidity of it.
Right.
But yeah, I thought overall it was.
Tell him how stupid he was right after, and then that's that.
I had another 2 days. I had another 2 days hanging around, so I had to be very careful. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those.
Yeah.
And then SmackDown was decent as well. I thought it was. They're still laying the seeds and the groundwork for the Shane and Daniel split. You can see.
Yeah, and what do you think about that whole thing with Dolph supposedly forfeiting the title?
I expect it to be similar to the CM Punk leaving the company type of deal, where he'll just show up and say he's the real U.S. champ. And I've heard they have a new U.S. title that they want to introduce. And this may be the way to introduce it.
Right. Yeah, that one's a little old and it's a little gaudy looking.
Yeah, it's almost cruiserweighty in size. Like it needs to be a little bigger. I feel like. If that makes sense.
Well, yeah. Well, that and they can kind of lay off the whole flag treatment and maybe put like a little flag in the middle, or maybe get some kind of eagle going or something.
I would personally break out the old WCW US title and
that was a cool
recreate it from that. I've always enjoyed that belt.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad one. Anyways, yeah, I can see. You think he'll come back with the duplicate belt and all that?
I do. I think that's what'll happen. Although. I mean, I don't know, because Jinder's in this too, and I kind of feel like this U.S. title is kind of made for Jinder right now, as far as holding it. But
honestly, probably the title they should have went with him in the first place.
Yeah. I mean that was probably usually you go stepping stone, you don't go right to WWE champion, but whatever. They had a plan. I think they should have ended it sooner, but we can talk about that during the awards.
And then part of my thing is I think they kind of wasted AJ a little bit this year because of that.
Yeah, I agree. And then we have, I guess, the end or the continuation of the AJ Styles Kevin Owens feud, as he appears to be his opponent, or maybe it'll be both Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will be the opponent at Royal Rumble for AJ Styles. I could see that happening too. I could see. Because they're going to obviously... I would think that the Kevin Owens Sami Zayn match will be a WrestleMania match, some sort of split between them. I mean, it would shock me if that wasn't the case.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be with Sami as the heel and Kevin Owens as the babyface.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really the only way you can go with it, to where it hasn't been done a million times. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the only way it's going to work again. Unless I would keep them together as long as possible until the summer, maybe. If you really felt like you wanted to break them up, I'd wait till the summer.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. But again, then what do you do with them in the meantime? Like,
I was gonna say the only thing you got to do with them is those are two guys that need to be at least with Kevin Owens, and then to Sami Zayn to a high degree, they got to be upper to main event talent. Otherwise, you're not using them properly.
I wouldn't mind if they were going to keep them together if they had Sami go after the U.S. title. I think Sami being somehow involved in that tournament would have been good because I think he could use a mid-card belt run.
Like, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's like because to me the mid-card belt should be the stepping stone to the next level, but it appears like they either just give it to the main eventers when say guys like Brock Lesnar aren't around, or they because to me again Raw I would put the IC title on Joe. Hopefully Joe wins it this week. But also Elias would be a great guy to have the IC title. It's meant to build new guys, not to have old guys.
It's a stepping stone.
Yeah.
And
I just don't like it personally.
Another thing is, first of all, I'd love to see a faction of Sami, Kevin Owens, and Adam Cole.
That's too top heavy though. I feel like you're really because you got three guys that are main eventers. I know Cole's not there yet, but
that's a very you could just call them team PWG or something there.
Yeah, they'll never do that, but they'll never acknowledge their existence. I doubt Vince knows PWG exists.
Hey, John Cena a few months ago mentioned it in a promo.
He's from Cali, though, right? Or at least he trained here and learned here.
Yeah, but he was in Cali way before PWG, because PWG is from 02, 03, maybe 05, 06.
Right.
So he was already, on the roster and everything by then.
Right.
I think he came out to be a weightlifter or something.
Yeah.
Probably in the late 90s or whatever. Anyways, kind of sidetracked there, but I just thought of that off the top of my head. But
yeah, I because you also got Fish and Cole. I think they're going to bring up Undisputed Era as a group at some point. So I don't necessarily know that there's and that's the type. See, that's group is perfectly formed. You got the one top guy that's going to go to the singles belt, and then you got the two tag guys that are involved. And that's why I still don't get why you wouldn't put the club together with Finn and the Good Brothers. I mean, it makes sense. You got the tag guys and you got Finn, and they help each other, and it makes sense. It just it's trying.
Well, like we keep saying, especially with the club, what a waste of not using them. You're paying them money, get the most out of your talent. I mean, that goes for everyone on the roster per se, but with Gallows and Anderson, you have this established chemistry you have with, either with AJ or with Finn, to be honest.
Yeah. And
to not take advantage of that and maximize that, get more guys on the screen, get screen time and some relevance.
I don't think AJ needs it. I think AJ stands alone at this point. He is.
Well, I'm just saying that there is natural chemistry.
Right. Finn could use it, though. Finn could use that playing off of other guys. He's just right now, even because I went to the house show this week and he cut a promo in the ring about Joe, and it was just he's not a great promo guy, at least as a face. I know he's probably better as a heel anyway, but I feel like he needs some people to play off of because he's very vanilla. He is. He's the definition of vanilla, in my opinion. Finn.
I think I mentioned a few months ago. I mean, as much as I know he's got to be the demon more to mean anything and to stick around. I think.
But I mean,
if he's
it's so
only the
random
demon
to
once or
be
twice
you
a
got to
year.
be in a good feud to have the demon. Right now, he got his ass kicked by Kane for no fucking reason whatsoever.
That's another issue. But I'm saying, the Ultimate Warrior wore the face paint every time. He didn't
I don't
only
think he's got to do it every time.
I hate the Ultimate Warrior. I don't even want to know I mentioned that, but there's got to be, maybe he can be a somewhat toned down, but I think he needs to be, like you said, he's too vanilla, and he's got to do a little something that reminds you that he is the demon too. I don't know.
So they don't
subtle.
know how to build a baby face through being a baby face. They're they've lost their way with that big time. They only know how to do it. They only know how to turn them face. Once they're heel, they know how to flip it around and make them faces, but they don't know how to just build a face.
You know what the issue just might be? I mean, could it be that there's just too much people that we view as main event talent?
I definitely think that's part of the problem, but I mean, then you need to alter how you're building these shows. You can make it so that you just have great matches sometimes, and just set that up. You know, like you don't need Kane floating around here. Kane is dead weight at this point. I'm sorry, Kane.
Well, as I've been kind of thinking about it and pondering, I understand why Kane's around because they wanted a big guy that can kind of go with Strowman. And there's really no other big guys left in the company. I mean, it looks like Big Show, he already did his thing with Big Show, and they feel like they need another big guy to stand up to Braun Strowman. And there really is no one.
No, and I understand that, but I just think, I don't know, man.
Like, maybe you could put someone like Joe in that position, but then you're burying Joe. Like, you know, you're playing with the house's money. A guy like Kane, like we've talked about, he's just there to take pins and kind of look tough and look a little intimidating. But all in all, he's moving on after this. So I'm not looking forward to the match per se, but like I kind of understand why they're throwing Kane in this because it really, you know, they don't really have it. They're trying to get a big guy to, you know, to kind of go toe to toe for Strowman for a little bit. And who else is it going to be?
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I think he's beyond worrying about building him up. I think he's there. He's built up. You can have him face the regular talent at this point and get him involved in the other feuds. I don't think you need to.
No, definitely. Yeah, I'm just saying that's what I think they're.
Yeah, and it's a middling feud, but I just don't see why you need Kane involved in this at all, other than to eat the pin for someone. That's the three way is Kane's eating a pin. Between Brock and Braun, and maybe they've changed their plans with Dean's injury. Maybe Dean's injury has left Seth without an opponent, and maybe that opponent's Roman now, and they're gonna reverse it a little bit. Maybe Braun ends up being champ, and they end up having a rematch at WrestleMania for the title. I mean, I could see that. Maybe they've just changed their plans completely, and it would make sense. I think people would be juiced for that match, the Brock Lesnar.
Well, I think right now they probably had some pretty long-term plans for Seth and for Jason Jordan, but this is really, you know, with Dean's injury, this is really just a little go-between, and it gives the two of them it's actually a pretty good audible to give both of them something meaningful for the time being until you figure out what the real plan is. Because I honestly think you got to get that, you know, if they're still in love with doing that whole Brock Roman thing at WrestleMania, they're going to have to get that IC title off him very soon.
Yeah, and that might be what that ridiculous stipulation is about. Just to get it off of him, have Joe. And then Joe's a perfect IC champ. Let Joe run with the IC belt for a while. And then...
I mean, you got to, you know, you get those tiers going again, and that title can, you know, be for Joe, it could be for Elias, it could be for... you know, Finn Balor.
I would set up Finn and Joe for WrestleMania for the IC title. I think that
I'm down.
We've seen it a little bit, but you don't have to go nuts. Just let them beat the shit out of each other for 20 minutes. That's all you gotta do. Sometimes it's simple. Sometimes the answer is simple for a WrestleMania match.
That's one you can make it the ladder match if you want to too.
We don't need a ladder match at every fucking WrestleMania. I know that they need that.
What are you talking about? They do them every year.
I know they do. They don't need to do it, though. It's not necessary.
Well, they don't need to do it with 50 guys like they've been doing. They can do a one-on-one ladder match at WrestleMania. And it could be good. It could be a show stealer with those two.
Yeah.
They've done it before in NXT. Their cage match was pretty damn good.
Yeah. And then we have NXT crowned its number one contender, Johnny Gargano. Did you watch that match?
Yeah. That was a bit of a surprise, and that's cool.
I think if there's anything telegraphed at this next pay-per-view, it's the return of Tommaso Ciampa. I mean,
we have not heard. I mean, last I heard, it was an ACL injury, and I don't know what that puts him out in terms of the 9 to 12 month rehab. But,
I don't believe their timelines at this point. I mean, I don't believe Dean's going to be out for 9 months.
Or you don't believe the severity of the injury, but he's been out a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it is coming down to that.
It's a full year at this point. It'll be a full year if his next match, maybe a couple matches before WrestleMania, but if he comes back.
Wasn't it at the TakeOver at WrestleMania that he got hurt?
He was hurt slightly before that, but yeah, that was when he turned on him and then left for a
Right.
while because of the injury. But to me, it's so obvious, and it's fine. I love it. It's sometimes, like I said, the booking can be obvious and be perfect at the same time. And Ciampa costing him the championship makes total sense and sets up a fucking great match.
We talk about it every week with NXT. It's the simplicity of
Yes.
NXT that works so well. But the only thing I would say is, if anyone, I guess he just has it out for him. I mean, usually that's a heelish thing to do, but if anyone should be going after someone, it should be Johnny, right?
Yeah, but Ciampa's probably gonna be pissed off that he has a title shot while he's been out for a year. This, the storyline.
The heel jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that is looking like it, and we'll see. I mean, I am still a little interested where they're going with all this. Obviously, he didn't just. Was it talked about? Was McIntyre injured before that match, or did he get hurt during that match?
No, he got hurt during that match. He grabbed onto that rope for that DDT and pulled his arm. Apparently, it's a recurring injury for him. Is that bicep? So.
Hey, and we're gonna have to do a little bit of a Wrestle Kingdom preview tonight too.
Yes, yeah, we'll do a quick Wrestle Kingdom preview because I'm a kind of top heavy on Wrestle Kingdom. I know really the two matches, and then after that, it's kind of I've kind of spaced out a little bit on.
Yeah, I think we kind of went over a little bit of the card, but
yeah.
I'll pull it up so we have it handy. But it's gonna be pretty good, for sure. There's other matches to look forward to. I'll let that load up. But there's a lot to look. I think as the last 3 months have been a little bit in the doldrums, I still for some reason feel very excited about all the possibilities of 2018. And just to kind of go with the women as well. At some point, they got to separate everyone instead of talking about the whole women's movement and kind of treat them as individual storylines rather than all being part of the same thing. I think this year they really missed, obviously, with her father's health situation, she was on and off the roster and was kind of put on the back burner a lot. Not always because of Rick's health, but
which Charlotte, was okay, I thought, because she was heavy duty for a while. Like she had a good 2-year run of being the featured woman, and it was okay for her to step back a little bit.
Yeah, but even this year, I mean, I'll say this to whoever I talk to about it is, it's still Charlotte and everyone else in my opinion, and that's not even to, it's not an insult to the other women because there's a lot of really great ones, but Charlotte is still head and shoulders above everyone, and I think at some point that's got to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
Within the storylines, and people got to be chasing her, preferably as a heel.
Yeah, I mean, but we did just do that for like a year and a half straight, where she was chased on Raw. So I think
where her and Sasha were flipping and flopping the titles like 10 times. But I'm looking forward to what's going on with that, and obviously the Asuka getting to the top with Charlotte is something to really look forward to, and you might even get it at Mania.
Yep.
We could have 2 Japanese Royal Rumble winners.
You could very well have it. Yeah,
that would be pretty neat. And you could even have Kairi Sane win the NXT Women's title.
She's still around?
Yeah.
Is she still signed? Is she still on the roster? Because she was obviously involved in the four-way.
Been touring with them. So.
She has. Okay. I just didn't know if maybe that was kind of done.
On the last NXT, she came out whenever Mood was out there grandstanding after her win.
Oh, okay. So she's still around. I wasn't positive.
She came out telescope, like I don't know why they have much with her, but the pirate princess. So my wife had a great idea for Kairi Sane.
Yeah.
Because once she gets to the main roster, I don't really think the pirate thing is gonna fly with the casual fans. You make her like a J-pop star.
What on earth is J-pop?
Like a Japanese pop star. So if you Google what they dress like, so the thing about her is when you see her, you're like, there's no way she can fight. She's like this cute petite girl. She's not like Asuka where she looks kind of mean and intimidating, but pretty at the same time. Like you dress her like a little pop star.
I mean, I'll have to do a quick Google of J-pop because I'm genuinely clueless.
And that was all my wife's idea because she doesn't really. She's like, the pirate thing ain't gonna work once she gets to WWE. Like people aren't gonna understand what it is.
Okay, but I kind of see they wear like schoolgirl outfits almost.
Yeah, well, it could be something a little different from that. But she can come out to that cheesy kind of like, Japanese pop music.
Okay, I mean, hey, I'm open to something other than the pirate thing because I personally don't get it either. So.
Yeah, so I think she comes out, maybe looking like I can't even. That could be something that can translate, like dresses like this or something.
I'm perfectly okay with that.
Yeah, on all levels, right? Or like Sailor Moon type of thing. That could be the compromise.
Yeah.
But I think that'll be something that gets her over on the main roster. Anyway,
yeah,
kind of a sidetrack there.
So let's go over.
I think she's great now. I like the whole thing now, but I just don't know if it'll translate.
I would agree with you. But let's go over the New Japan Wrestle Kingdom, then we'll hit our awards.
I got the card right here.
Okay.
Let's see here. They're going to open with a New Japan Rumble. I don't have any of the list of the competitors on there.
I assume it'll be everybody that's not on the card already. We'll just get...
Probably, yeah. So I can't really make any predictions for that, or even what the significance of that would be, or if there's any incentive to winning that. But that's our novice. Excuse us for that. But then we're gonna have the IW. This is hopefully this is the order of the card. We have the IWGP Junior Tag Team Championship.
Young Bucks and
Young Bucks will be challenging. Roppongi.
That should be a good match. See, I would open with that personally. That's your opening match right there. To get the crowd fired up.
Yeah. Because I think the Rumble is kind of pre-showish type of thing anyway.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you see the Young Bucks, obviously you see them there. When they're always out there with Kenny, but seeing them perform is pretty special. I mean, they are pretty outstanding as a tag team. The way they play off each other and. How violent they actually are is pretty cool. They're not just gimmick sellers. I mean, they're in the ring, they can go, and they're outstanding. They're an outstanding tag team. So, and Roppongi Y2K, formerly the Tempura Boys.
I love Tempura.
Yeah. They're pretty good. So that'll be an awesome match.
Yep.
And then, people talk about maybe WWE having too much titles. I don't really care personally, but there is the second match is going to be a never open weight 6-man tag team gauntlet championship.
Okay.
So they have a 6-man tag title in New Japan.
That's too much.
So you're gonna have Haku's boys, Tamatanga and Tamaloa and Bad Luck Fale going against Taguchi, who was a tag team champ with Ricochet recently. Not anymore, obviously. Against Juice Robinson and Maccabee. Juice Robinson really kind of impressed me in his G1 run.
Yeah, no, he came out. He had a bit of a coming out at the G1.
And kind of wondering what couldn't work when he was in NXT as CJ Parker.
Sometimes it just doesn't connect with people right away. I mean, you see people come back too, so might have just been go figure it out, come back.
Well, anyway, this is a gauntlet match, so there's a couple other teams involved. The other team is your boy Trent, Beretta, Taro Yano, and Tamahiro Ishii. So that's a pretty exciting team right there.
Yeah.
And then you have Hanson, Rowe, and Elgin.
Oh, Elgin's on the card, huh?
Those are, yeah. I'm telling you, that's going to brush over. I don't really think he's well known enough to where that's going to affect him. At least not in Japan.
No, maybe not. But at the same time, it could affect him in the U.S. for a little while, given the current climate.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are two. I mean, we'll put all that shit aside because we're talking about that's a pretty badass team right there. And then it looks like you're going to have the Suzuki-gun represented with Taichi, Takashi, Lazua, and Zack Sabre Jr.
Okay.
So that's a pretty. I mean, it's not going to be that crowded ring because it is the gauntlet match, but
Right.
Definitely exciting. So now we're not going to have the Ring of Honor title on the line because Dalton Castle is not contracted with New Japan, so we're just going to have a good old special. It says special singles match between Kota Ibushi and Cody.
That should be a decent match. See if
Absolutely.
Cody can keep up.
That's been I think the key is when he does these New Japan matches. Don't get me wrong, Cody's a great athlete, but it's just a whole different style. I don't know if you watched the first night when we went to the G1, my uncle and I were at that, and the Okada Cody Rhodes match where, like, my uncle was even saying, he's like, Cody's just not quite to their level in terms of the physicality and the style.
Well,
he's
it's understandable.
A great athlete, a good wrestler. No, absolutely. I'm not. He's going to take a few matches to get used to that type of style that they have, but I think this will be a good match. It definitely should be. So now we're going to have the fourth match is an IWGP Tag Team Championship. The champions are Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Lance Archer. And they'll be challenged by Evil and Sonata of Los Ingobernables.
Okay.
So that should be a pretty good match as well. So now this will be a good match too. This is the Never Openweight Championship, a hair versus hair match. Suzuki-gun and Chaos will be banned from ringside, and it's Minoru Suzuki, the champion, versus Hiroki Goto.
Okay.
So that's a good old-fashioned, match of a couple veterans there. The hair versus hair is interesting.
I mean, Suzuki already kind of has a mostly shaved head with some designs in it, so I don't
maybe I should do that, huh?
You should. I say go for it. You come get it done at a barbershop locally for when your wife comes off the plane.
We got a barbershop, and I would pick him up from the airport with it.
I would do that. Videotape it. I want to see your wife's reaction. I say this happens. Do it.
You pay for the haircut, I'll do it.
I'll send it to you right now.
It'd probably be like $40 if I take it in. This
really?
barbershop that I go is like, well, I haven't been there in a while since I've been.
I can see.
But no, I probably had this hair since October. But look, dude, look like right now. Doesn't look like I'm bald, huh?
Yeah, just turn your head a little bit down. No, there you go. There you go.
Yarmulke. Okay, so, huh?
You do. You got the yarmulke.
I should be Orthodox. We have them in our neighborhood. Start wearing yarmulke.
You don't need to be Orthodox to wear the yarmulke. You just need to be Jewish. Orthodox is
half.
They have
Half to it. Are you Jewish?
I am. Yeah, I'm full Jew.
Oh, you are.
I celebrate Christmas though. I'm a very bad Jew.
No, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I just knew all the bad words in Yiddish because my grandma taught me.
I knew none of that. But anyway, back to New Japan.
Yeah. So here we go. We did that match. Okay, sixth match, IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship 4-way match. This could be the show stealer, in my opinion. You have the champion Marty Scurll. For those of you who don't know how to say his name, it is like girl or squirrel. Scurll. Will Ospreay is a challenger. Kushida, the challenger, who's the Back to the Future guy, if you're wondering. And Hiromu Takahashi, owner of Daryl, is the other challenger. We're probably going to see a lot of flying bodies in this match.
Sounds good to me.
With the
flying
exception
bodies and
Girl, who's more of a mat technician, so that'll be interesting. But that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yep.
Then we have the IWGP Intercontinental Champion, the veteran and champion Tanahashi. Should know that. Going to take on the youngster Jay White. That should be a pretty good match. Jay White's pretty entertaining.
Okay.
And then we get to the meat of it, and the two matches that you know. We have the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship. No disqualification match, by the way. Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho.
Yeah, I'm excited for that match. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how their styles work together. You know,
And I know this isn't exactly the intention of it, but what a fucking way to give importance and establish a new title like that, right? Yeah. I know that isn't really necessarily the intention. It's more of the blood feud between the few, but really establishing that U.S. title there with just an absolutely key rivalry, and it's really, that Intercontinental title they have has taken a backseat to this new U.S. title, and that's probably mostly because of Kenny Omega. But
well, for us too, I think it takes a huge, we're looking at it from our point of view too, and I think they specifically market certain things to us, and they're doing a good job of it. But I actually expect Jericho to go over here. I do. I think Jericho will win the U.S. title and kind of parade around the U.S. with it, and makes it. I think he's going to make a little bit of a run here in New Japan.
Interesting. I think his whole title is to go over the whole purpose of him. I mean, we could be surprised. Don't get me wrong, but I think his whole purpose of going over there is to go over there and, let the next guy hand the torch over to the next Winnipegian in the world.
Oh, I think he will. I think he will, no doubt. But I think that might start with, it might be a longer term thing than we originally thought. I think you also look at. I would love to see him in the G1 over the summer. I think that
would be so cool.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Doesn't need to.
And you know what? It's going to be an adjustment.
The G1 specifically, yeah.
We'll see how he works with a real stiff guy like Kenny Omega. I mean, I want to say he's probably. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but has he? I mean, I hate to bring up this guy's name, but has he faced a guy with this type of style and roughness since maybe Chris Benoit? I mean, I'm just saying it's been a while since he's going to match like this.
Yeah, and it's a different style of roughness too right now. There are a lot of knees, but I mean, again,
Kenny Omega's a very physical guy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. The other thing is this going to be a 40-minute match that we've come to expect out of a guy like Kenny Omega, and whoever he faces. I mean, we'll see. I mean, this is a very intriguing match for many reasons, not just because of the randomness of it and the rivalry that they've built up and all the outstanding press conference stuff, but the actual in-ring event, what is there to expect?
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun match with an unknown ending here. I'm very curious, and it is not the main event to me, and it probably won't be. But I know that's been kind of the big storyline too. Is Jericho? Jericho's kind of already setting up having a match with Naito too, kind of screwing with him a little bit, telling him that this is the main event, not Okada Naito. But
Naito. So anyway, now we got the main event, which is of course the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. The champion Okada, who's held the title
2 years,
almost about 2 years, and this is the man he actually defeated for it, Tetsuya Naito, who is obviously
like a totally different person from when he beat him for it originally.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this guy is you mean, like I told you, we went back, my uncle and I, we rewatched that G1 final with him and Omega, and I was, my uncle who haven't seen much of Naito, I was telling him, like, don't you see how a guy like this can be held in such high regard in Japan? And and he's like, absolutely. I mean, he loves his whole act too, with the spitting and the kind of the dodging he does, the kind of little smiles he does, and the almost throwing the trophy into the crowd and just doing that little calm down kind of thing. I mean, his act is outstanding, and it translates into a million different languages, and him speaking Spanish at the end, and just his performance in the ring. Honestly, you got, to me, the top 3 professional wrestlers in the entire world are Naito, Omega, and AJ Styles.
Yes, I
love
guess.
Huh? What's that?
I guess we know who the 3 you'll be voting for in our awards.
Okada's outstanding too, but there's just something about those 3 that I just think is. I mean, I just think they're clear head and shoulders above there. So I don't really know what I'm expecting in this match, but if I had to guess, I would think Naito would go over in this instance,
I
just because.
think, yeah, I would think that's what's going to happen here. You know, because you got Omega Naito matches that you can do, get the belt off Okada. I think, yeah, I would think that sometimes it's obvious, and not only that, but he's over. Naito's over huge as far as being a face. He might,
Yeah, and he is a face now. I mean, he was heelish when he had that IC title that he lost earlier in the year to Tanahashi, and I think from there, especially with the G1, I mean,
yeah.
he's on the.
But even that stuff. I mean, it's cool to be a heel right now. It just is. It's just the era of heels. You know, cool heels being over. So.
Yeah. Yeah,
I look forward to it. I'm going to do my best to be up for it. It's going to be hard. I'm not going to lie.
I'm gonna try.
1 a.m. East Coast time.
Think what I'm going to do is, I'm taking off work the day after, which will be, and what I'll do is when I get home from work that day, because it's going to go on at midnight out here or 11. I'm not sure exactly yet. I'm going to take a nap when I get home, force myself to go to sleep, and then we'll see how that lasts.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some struggles personally, but we will.
Kids there, so
I have class and work, so I'm gonna do my best, but it'll be tough. But looking forward to it. And now let's get to our year-end awards ceremony. I don't have any music.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, maybe Anyways, I wanted maybe we can let's see where we should start. You know what? We'll debate it out. This is going to be kind of a different award show, guys. What we'll do is we'll debate and come to a conclusion together as to who's going to get our award. Maybe a little different than we've usually seen, but you know what? Let's start out. Tag Team of the Year.
Well, I think we narrowed it down to the Usos and Sheamus and Cesaro, right? That was the two that we narrowed down to. We'll talk about the Bar, who kind of came out of nowhere. That's a great name, by the way. They came out of nowhere as a team. They, obviously they had that best of 7 that everyone didn't like, probably early last year. But as they got together as a tag team, I think right away we knew that these are two guys that fit really well together. Yeah, they're a good tag team. They're a great tag team, in my opinion. I think
they molded a beautiful gimmick together. With the blending of their music and both of them coming out with the kilts. I mean, it just worked out tremendously. They've held the titles a couple times. But then you have the Usos, who they turned heel, and they made subtle changes to their character that they ditched the face paint, they ditched the bright colors, and I don't know about you, but it just seemed like I was sensing like they're acting like themselves. And I think it was really clear that there was more of their personality in this gimmick, and it's been over like crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to them. I know you were definitely on. I'll give it to them because they have much less to work with over on the SmackDown tag team scene.
And I'm with you on that, and I think the Usos carried that division for a while, and honestly, they uplifted the New Day, which were getting a little stale for a while.
Yeah, no, their feud with the New Day went on for 3 or 4 months, and it was entertaining, and it culminated in a Hell in a Cell match that was fucking brutal.
The Cell match was outstanding, and that might be the tag team match of the year. And honestly, you could even put it on the short list for match of the year, which we could talk about later. But no, they single-handedly raised the entire SmackDown tag team division. And they always talk about, it's kind of a weird way to say professional wrestling, where, talk about guys like LeBron James, where they not only make them, not only are they outstanding players, they make everyone better around them.
Yeah.
I think that's what the Usos did.
I think both teams do that, but I think that the fact that they've had to really work with very little help on the tag side has helped them greatly. And so I'll give it to them easily.
Yeah, definitely the Usos there. So this is a little more of an interesting one. I think we should go with, we're going to say, I don't know if we want to, manager/advocate of the year. I mean, you got your usual,
Heyman.
Heyman's been kind of the same. There hasn't been anything really said. He doesn't show up as much. Shows up a little more than Brock does. I haven't really seen anything too different than we've seen Adam Hero over the years, which is always good, solid work. But Yeah, nothing. I would say. I would say that someone that's honestly, we don't have a lot of these guys anymore.
No, and
Uh,
that's why it's tough. I know you're high on Selena Vega. My only complaint is that she's only been around for a little bit of time. We haven't had a lot of
right.
interaction with her. Although I love her involving like that. Her Karana she does is fantastic.
Well, I mean, she's single-handedly. Well, when we're talking kayfabe storyline-ish, she's taken a guy who was just a mid-card NXT guy and made him the champion.
Yeah, and
he was using her as that influential person that gets a guy like that to the next level. Has been a brilliant thing, and that's why she kind of gets my vote for that.
Yeah, I think Ellering gets a nod too there. I think he does a great job of cutting a promo for AOP.
Oh, absolutely. I just in the last half of the year, you didn't really see a lot of them though.
No, you didn't. But so it's kind of the tale of two managers there. For when Selena showed up, Paul was kind of gone, and when Paul was heavy duty, Selena wasn't there yet. So I'll give it to Selena. I mean, like you said, there isn't a whole lot of choice in terms of manager.
Yeah,
it doesn't exist right
it's
now.
the industry now. I mean, we could take a look at you could even give the Young Bucks a nod for
they're always out there,
or Gato with Okada, but yeah, I'm ready to give it to Selena Vega. I mean, it's just we're not manager heavy in the world anymore. Yeah, she's been great. Okay, so this kind of plays to our next one, which is faction of the year. Kind of in a way of managers, we don't really have a lot of those dominant factions. To me, a faction's got to have 3 or more.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because the obvious choice is the Bullet Club, but there's also a faction within a faction. There's the Elite, there's the Young Bucks and Kenny that are involved in that too. So I think it's easy. I think the Bullet Club, they dominate.
Maybe you can get a little bit of an argument from Los Ingobernables.
But I mean, in terms of pure merch, I mean, these guys
are just pop culture.
Another
everything.
planet.
There's the Bullet Club, and then there's everyone else.
Right.
I mean,
there really is.
And I don't even know if you can technically say there is a factions in the WWE right now.
Well, in NXT there is.
Faction, what? Sanity?
You got Sanity. You got Undisputed Era.
Right.
AOP's kind of a faction.
You're just like a faction's got to have 3 or more, I think.
Right. But yeah, those 3 are those 2 are the main factions.
If we're talking
the Shield,
Club,
I guess. But the Shield.
There's not even a reason to debate anything.
No,
else.
Bullet Club transcends. You see their shirts all over the place. At WWE events, they have them in Hot Topic. I walk around, I see people with them too. I get 2 sweeted at school. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous, especially in this era, where they're not part of the machine that is WWE. To do this, to accomplish that, is just insane.
And I think we've talked about the whole story of why the shirts were in Hot Topic, basically, right?
No, maybe.
Well, we might have talked about it on a show a month ago, but apparently, I think at last year's WrestleMania, I guess still technically this year's WrestleMania, I guess the Hot Topic people were invited. They carry a lot of WWE stuff, and I guess they were talking with some WWE executives, and as they were observing on the weekend or whatever, they were like, "Hey, how come we don't sell those Bullet Club shirts that you guys have?" And the WWE people are like, "Well, those are actually Japanese wrestlers. That's a Japanese wrestling faction." So they got in touch with the Young Bucks and New Japan, and that's why you have all that stuff at Hot Topic.
Yeah, I mean, it's
the Hot Topic people saw so many of those shirts over WrestleMania weekend and wondering why we're not selling any of those. And
now they are. All right, next category.
Let's do best newcomer of the year.
I say Elias. I think he's been, especially newcomer in terms of WWE. I mean, to
the main roster.
To the main roster, but even on NXT, he kind of he drifted around. He wasn't a mainstay on NXT.
No, those are some of the people where they get to the point where you saw it even with a lot of these a lot of these guys tend to work out, or gals tend to work out better when they just get to the end at NXT and they just kind of get brought up when they just, like, you know what, let's just throw him on the main roster and see if he works there.
Yeah.
And
he's pure unknown. Like Bobby Roode, is new to WWE, but he's well known.
Right.
All these guys.
Sure.
This is a pure, never heard of him guy. Then out of nowhere, and he played off with Cena really well, and that's like a test almost to see if he can hang with Cena, and he passed that. He had a great match with Roman. He is the newcomer, no doubt in my mind. I don't really,
Yeah, I mean, you could put Selena Vega in this category. You could put I guess to a way you can put Drew McIntyre, but
he's not a newcomer though. He's not. He's not the new guy.
So yeah, I'll agree. I'm just gonna go with Elias just to make it short, and that's the way to go. So this is another one, most improved.
And I told you my feelings earlier. Braun Strowman.
Yeah,
over the past year. Let's think about something for a second.
Mm-hmm.
When it started, the feud with Roman started in February. Back at Fastlane, Royal Rumble. I'm sorry, he cost Roman the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble. It went on until like September, and we didn't mind. Those two had a feud that they had. I mean, we can kind of meld it in here. I think you can argue that those two had the feud of the year too. The two of them went on and had like 6 or 7 or 8 matches that were entertaining as hell. They weren't the classic mat technician matches.
They were. Pretty hard hitting too.
Yeah, I mean, he tossed an ambulance, which is ridiculous, but it got a pop. I was in the audience when it happened. The crowd went nuts for them tossing the fucking ambulance. And that's a cheesy spot, but the crowd just fucking loved it. And it started out as Roman hate. It did.
That's what I'm saying. I definitely...
But it got past that.
Yeah, it has.
To me,
he's definitely
Braun in the ring is really good. You're never gonna confuse Braun with Bret Hart. That's not who Braun is gonna be. But he's quick. He's not boring. He tosses guys around, but also kind of seems to be safe too. He seems like a funny guy, and I think once they establish him a little more, I think you're gonna. I don't know if you saw the Elf. Yeah. I mean, he's a funny dude.
Funny.
He's to me.
At some point, they're gonna let that personality come out.
To me, this is Vince's just wet dream. This is it. This is like everything Vince has ever wanted. He's fucking huge, right? He loves the huge guys. He's a monster, but he's entertaining. This is everything Vince could want. He's got to be drooling and salivating at this guy.
I definitely think that this year can be the year of Braun for sure. So, yeah, most improved. I mean, you can make the argument for Jinder Mahal going from a guy who was basically a ham and egger. Enhancement. Yeah, well, he's kind of coming full circle in that way, I guess. But
my thing with Jinder is that they gave him the push, yes, but I don't think he ever improved during that time. I don't think his matches really improved.
No,
the only one
we all agree that his physique was the most improved.
His physique was fantastic, but I mean the acne on his back might tell you a certain story there. But I personally
think he was going strong for a while. He was getting real heat for a while, but I don't know if I just think it fell flat.
It did, and to me, he never got any better in the ring. His matches were pretty brutal. His matches with the only matches that were any good were the ones with
AJ.
What?
With AJ.
With AJ, yeah, and AJ can have a great match with. He had entertaining matches with the guy they just released. What's his name? Ellsworth. So AJ has good matches with anyone. So that's not really telling you a whole lot. But to me, right. Jinder he never got better. He might have gotten a better push, even improved push, but he never got better.
Right, exactly. I mean, he would be like we're going to talk about it in a little bit. Actually, we'll just roll right into it here. Biggest surprise of the year.
Is this moment we're talking about moment of the year?
Yeah, biggest moment. Yeah,
well, there was two that come to mind, right? With Jericho appearing in New Japan, but then to me, the one that gave me goosebumps, and I don't get goosebumps very easily, was the Hardys returning at WrestleMania. That was such a cool moment. As soon as the music hit, the crowd went fucking nuts. To me, that's the moment of the year. I mean, I know the Jericho stuff is pretty fresh, and we love it as a whole, but
I think the Jericho stuff was a little more of a surprise.
Yes, but it didn't
But
we loved it because of what we enjoy New Japan and we
or
enjoy wrestling in general.
You can talk about the surprise title run of Jinder and his emergence in getting that spotlight was pretty surprising as well. Surprising doesn't necessarily mean coolest or wow. It's just like, something you just did not see coming or see happening at all.
I'm giving moment just for me the goosebump factor, the goosebumps I got when the Hardys music hit and the way they set it up.
Oh, totally. But if I would have told you 2 weeks before WrestleMania, the Hardys are coming back, you would have been like, "Oh, I guess I could see that."
Yeah, and I mean, we were all speculating.
If I would have told you in January that Jinder Mahal is going to be a WWE champ in a few months, you would have told me to fucking shut the fuck up and you got to be kidding me. And the same thing if I would have told you Jericho is going to be at Wrestle Kingdom next year.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm talking about surprise. Don't if we had
out of nowhere, I'll give you Jericho, but moment that will just probably be replayed a million times over will be the Hardys. To me, I think it's the
okay.
Hardys.
I see the argument there, but I still go with Jericho.
All right, we're split.
We're split on that one, so we'll go with that. All right, so let's see what I have here. This is another one. We could probably play into this one. Best storyline.
I go with storyline, pure storyline. That wasn't just a one-off deal. I gotta say, was Braun and Roman. I thought they went on forever, and I was not bored with it as much as you would think I would get bored with it. I thought they were the only consistent storyline this whole time. I mean, other than Brock not showing up here and there, and part of that is because of that. I mean, you got.
God, I mean, I'm thinking of just like storylines. To me, the best storyline of the year is the Festival of Friendship.
A lot of that though happened. I mean, yeah, the Festival of Friendship did, but like the whole storyline happened mostly in 2016, built up, and then it culminated right at the beginning of the year. So all the build up to the actual.
But finish, then it had a WrestleMania match out of it.
Yeah.
But
that was,
yeah. I mean, the other. I mean, other than that, how many like big storylines do you have? The Kurt Angle thing with Jason Jordan.
Yeah, that was definitely not the best storyline.
The Festival of Friendship to me was the thing that would stand out the most in terms of story.
Yeah, it was definitely the top pure angle that they had.
Yeah. And it carried into the year for the most part.
Yeah,
so that is the Festival of Friendship. Those were some great matches, but I don't remember what Roman matches. Yeah, that's fine. You can make sort of an argument for that, but what was the thing between Roman and Braun?
He just wanted to kill him.
Right, but that's not enough. Like, what was the real thing? Like, there was the whole bet. They were best friends. They were doing all this stuff with best friends, and little friction was going between them every week.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
That to me is what the Festival of Friendship offered that Roman and Braun didn't. And honestly, there's just not a lot of that anymore, where you have these things playing out over the course of months. So to me, it's the Festival of Friendship was the best storyline.
Yeah,
I guess that's what you. Let's see here. I guess we're kind of getting down to the top three I have. If you have any other,
no, I think that's solid. The list you have.
Let's see here.
Female wrestler.
All right, so female wrestler of the year. That
Alexa.
The first one that comes to mind is Asuka.
Asuka, I think Alexa. She went to Raw and she's been once again the dominant champion. She's been dominant for 2 years now.
She's been absolutely. You talk about dominance. Talk about Asuka holding that title for the whole entire year until she gave it up because of an injury, and that's what got her to the main roster. It's probably the best thing that'll happen to her. Hasn't lost a match all year, if we're going by that. But to me, the thing about Alexa that's been so impressive is when she first came up, none of us saw this coming. With her being the best, carrying that division and being ahead of Bayley and Sasha, and just carrying it so well.
She's a great heel. She is. She's a great heel. And
She's great. So
I think
I'm
Asuka
cool
suffered from lack of talent down in NXT.
she
She was in a
everyone
lot of
over
multi-woman matches because there wasn't like a clear
number
contender
2.
to
Yeah,
her other than Ember.
I'm that's the thing. If someone you told me Asuka, I get it, but I'm gonna go with Alexa for this. Too.
Yeah, Alexa. I think she to be top dog on Raw as a woman is not easy. I mean,
and she's on SmackDown too as well. So
yeah.
All right. So now we're gonna move on to well, maybe we should just do the match of the year in between.
Yeah, let's do the match of the year.
Match of the year to me. I just watched it again last night, and even before I watched it again last night, this was the match of the year to me. It's Naito versus Omega for the G1 Classic final.
It was a great match, and it was. I mean, Okada and Omega was great too.
Great too. And this isn't even a knock on those matches, but
I will say
I wasn't a huge fan. Well, the two things that hurt that last one they had in the final is you had Okada with the neck injury, which really made it seem like they really played out the whole neck thing with the Okada, which made Omega's win over him just seem like he didn't beat him at 100%. The Wrestle Kingdom match was probably the second best match of the year, and their Dominion match was great too. The draw. I mean, don't get me wrong; those are great matches, but just if you haven't done it, just go rewatch that Naito and Omega match. I mean, incredible.
Yeah, I'll say the Naito Omega match I enjoyed probably more because it was more realistic. The Omega Okada matches, I love that they're 60-minute matches almost, both of them, or 30 minutes. It just, to me, there's more realism in like the Naito and Okada matches where it's like it just seemed like they were really trying to stretch out those two matches.
Naito Omega, they actually went about 42 minutes.
Right.
And the third match between Okada and Omega at the G1 semi was only like 26 minutes because it had a 30-minute time limit. Right. So it was a shorter match. But yeah, I mean, it's just honestly the Omega Naito match is one of the best matches I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
so.
I'll give it to you. That to me is great. I don't think there's any WWE match that comes close, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to start talking about
WWE, and it's a matter of taste probably for us. And at this point, match wise, taste wise, we prefer the New Japan product over WWE as far as the in-ring stuff.
Really good. I think he had a really good AJ Styles John Cena match early in the year.
Yeah.
At the Royal Rumble, I believe it was.
Yeah, they had the match at the Royal Rumble. I think honestly, the one issue I have with the season AJ matches is the constant kicking out of each other's finishers. That's kind of been their bread and butter.
You kind of had a lot of that in the Omega Naito match, but there's just something different. It's late in the match, and they just play up the this is the biggest match of the year. Like the way they play it up, it seems more important in a way. But he didn't kick out of the one. They did not hit the one-wing angel, but he kicked out of about 3 or 4 Destinos.
Yeah, that I thought was a little. I think I remember texting you about those, going, "What the hell."
Only downside of that match, but what a fucking match! I mean, still at the end, you're like, "Holy shit! This is like it was a life-changing match." The Usos versus the New Day in this Hell in a Cell was a fucking outstanding match. But honestly, the bottom line is that's not really the emphasis of the WWE product.
Yeah.
Matches are not the priority.
No, you can argue that you're, I mean, there were a couple tag matches down at NXT. I think the three-way between AOP, DIY, and Revival was really good.
Or there was the what was the one at the Takeover last year with the AOP where they had El Arena and was it? Oh, God, was that the year before last week? The DIY versus the Revival.
That was the previous year. I think that was the Survivor Series.
Okay,
match.
That to me was the best matches the year before. So, we could talk about the Tyler Bate versus.
You know what? Yeah, I forgot about that match. That WWE wise, I think you can argue that was the match of the year right there. But you can stop there.
But I mean, I want to give fair play. Let's discuss. But I'm not just going to shut it down at Naito Omega. But
for us though, I again, this is our taste. I mean, we're going to lean towards the New Japan product just because. But and to be fair, the British strong style stuff that Bate and Pete Dunne do is very similar to that. It's a brutal style. They're able to do it down at NXT and in the UK. We'll see what happens if either of those guys get to the main roster. I doubt Vince will be down with it, but it's as close as you're going to get to like a New Japan match.
And that's the thing is, I just got to go with that. But there's actually, now that we're talking about it, WWE had some good matches out there. Obviously, they had to go through 3 brands to really talk about all of them. But there's been a handful of good matches this year there too, or great matches, absolutely. But I think we're both fair to say it's Naito and Omega G1 final.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess this is our final award. This is going to be the. Wait, was there any women's matches that were great last year? That we.
I personally, I don't think so.
You know what? One that I want to mention is I think it was the Nikki Cross Asuka.
The last woman standing.
That was a great match.
That was a good match. Yeah.
I think that definitely belongs in that tier of the other ones below Omega Naito. But that was a freaking great match too. Okay, here we go. All right, so now we're going to with the male wrestler of the year. We've talked about all these guys a million times. Well, I'd love to give it to, Naito or Omega. A little tough not to give it to a guy that wasn't a world champ during the year. Obviously, to me, they're maybe the 2 best wrestlers in the world. Another guy, obviously, that everyone will talk about is a guy like AJ Styles.
I'm in Camp Styles. I think
Camp Styles too. The only thing that hurts him though is the fact that it's not even his fault. Is that they wasted that Jinder run when it really should have been him with the title.
But I think you look at I kind of view the New Japan guys as very similar to when you have 2 MVP candidates on the same team.
Yeah.
They kind of cancel each other out a little bit. They're working with MVP caliber guys. AJ's not working with that caliber guy in WWE all the time. And he had good matches with Baron. He had good matches with Jinder. He had good matches he had a great match with Brock Lesnar. He came up from South America with the stomach virus or food poisoning or whatever to help
he
out
had
the WWE.
Some pretty good stuff with Kevin Owens with the U.S. title.
Yeah, I think he is, to me, he can have a great match with anybody, and he proved that the past these entire 2 years of being in the company, he's proven he
and
can
I think he got to the point where they're like, what are we doing? We got to get this title back on AJ already.
Yeah.
And that was, you can also talk about Okada, who's just basically just held that title and beat everyone that he's faced over in New Japan, including Omega a couple times.
But he's
to retain that.
He's working with workhorses like Naito and Omega, and they're all playing off each other, being insanely good wrestlers, and not just them, but the million other guys that they have there that are just great workers. Whereas AJ, you're working with stiff sometimes like Jinder, and he still manages to find a way to have a great match with those guys.
And it's another guy that he's 40 fucking years old. I mean, we forget.
Yeah, he's 40 years old. Oh, and I'll say this about AJ Styles and WWE passing on him. He was very vanilla in the beginning of his career. He had the crew cut hair. He screened cruiserweight. He really did. It was only up until his run in New Japan where I felt like he got his look to be something different, where they were like, oh, wait, this might work. Whereas you look at some of the old stuff with Ric Flair that he did in TNA, it was very generic. He was a great in the ring, but there was nothing special about him. And then he grew out the hair, the goatee, little subtle changes gloves, like that did it for him.
Good entrance with the hoodie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you.
You know what? I'm ready to give it to AJ Styles for sure.
Let me ask you a question. You don't have to. You don't have a need for a hood in California as much as I have a need for a hood right now. But whenever I take my hood off, I take it off like AJ Styles now.
Okay.
I and I look like an idiot, but I do it. I don't know why. I whip it off. I'm like,
Well, I would totally do that, but today it was a high of like 78 degrees.
it's 13 fucking degrees right now.
It'll get down to 50 tonight.
It's fucking freezing,
But,
and I'm in my basement, and it's cold in here, and I'm glad we're at our last award because I cannot feel my feet.
well, I will say this: did you see who Rolling Stone named the wrestler of the year?
Was it Jericho?
The Miz.
The Miz. I mean, The Miz was a great character. He's a great character. He's never going to be a mat technician, but I mean, he is. I mean,
wrestler's the whole package, though.
Yeah, it is. He's promo guy of the year. You want to give him the promo guy of the year. He cut the best promos throughout the year.
But honestly, I think we've filleted him enough on this show.
Yeah.
That he obviously is one of the best in the world. But at the same time, he didn't hold a world title, and he has not been in the world title picture for the last handful of years. Not saying he definitely should be, but he hasn't been. So,
nope.
I would like to end this. Maybe, do you have anything that you can think that you think's going to, any predictions? One little prediction for next year that you can think of.
One prediction for next year. I think that. I don't know.
I think I just got mine.
What? Go for it. You go first.
All right. I've heard people say this, and I don't know if this is very. I think we're going to see Daniel Bryan in the ring next year.
I think that you have way more of a chance of it happening than I thought a couple weeks ago. I think with this
and I think we'll see him in a WWE ring.
I do. I think so too. I don't necessarily think we'll see him all the time, but I think obviously they're leading to Shane and Daniel, in my opinion. I mean, what else are we doing here?
And if they're not, what a bunch of assholes. I mean, I can see the whole when they had the Miz thing, there was always some kind of thing on the side. Like, you can't beat this guy, or like there was always a third party involved. But I think at WrestleMania, I mean, if you don't give us Shane and Daniel Bryan, or maybe even Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn, which would be amazing.
Yeah.
Or, you know, what another way you could do it is you could have Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens tag against Shane and Daniel Bryan and kind of have a turn on that team.
Yeah. I'm going to say, I got my prediction. I'll say Sami Zayn, WWE champion. As long as he stays on SmackDown.
That's a very interesting.
He goes to Raw, that's done.
Well, yeah. We'll see. I mean, we got to see what they do with Brock. I mean, his contract does expire around the same time it did after WrestleMania 30, correct?
Yeah, I'm sure he'll cash another one in.
Yeah, I mean, he might as well. If not him, I mean, this is the easiest money you're ever going to fucking
make a couple mil to wrestle 6 times a year. Good.
Perfect. For 6 minutes.
Yeah.
30 minutes of work a year and maybe show up at 3 or 4 Raws. Easy money, kid.
Easy money. And with that, this was the Coast to Coast Coasties.
The Coasties.
The Coasties.
Coast to Coasties.
You want to plug you want to plug the social media?
Social media. Yeah. We are at Coast Coast Pod on Instagram and Twitter. I don't know what we'll have to do to maybe I can take over putting it on there if we get some stuff from Dan. I don't know if you talked to Dan beforehand about if he had the time to get it up tomorrow.
I don't know. I will we'll send it, and I'm sure he'll be able to do it for us real quick. Dan will be on there. We'll have to have Dan on one day.
Oh, for sure.
He likes wrestling.
Where does he work? What does he do?
I don't know. I know what he does. He does something with like electronics, I think. And I could be completely wrong about what I just said, but
all right. Well, anyways, Happy New Year, everybody. And you know, we'll connect next week, and we'll probably
our next show will be post. We'll do a post New Japan show. I think that'll probably be the best route to go.
Next year, we'll tell you all about Wrestle Kingdom. So everyone have a good, Happy New Year. Stay safe. Don't be stupid out there, okay?
No drinking and driving. Peace.
Yeah.